Let's take a look at how you can use filters on your markbook to sort the information out. Now at the top you'll see that there's already two filters that have been applied, the folders filter and your activity status filter. So this is a pre-built option that most markbooks would already have. Now here in the filters tab you can see there's different options that I can use to filter out the information on my markbook. So if I click on assessment type, I'm able to filter them out based on if it's a project, a quiz, a due work, or if it's a task. So that's your assessment type. Now if I go back to my class page for the markbook that I was just looking at, okay, so if I go back to my science class, you can see that under my course outline, I have a project. So that's the project symbol and what it looks like. So it's sort of kind of looks like a ladder. So a project is kind of like, it's a group, and inside that group you have all your different due work, tasks, and everything like that, right? So in this specific class, I have a project, and I have some other work there as well, right? So if I wanted to see what my projects were, I would select project. And you can see there underneath that first check your learning, it tells me that it's a project, okay? So I can open that project, and you'll see that that's my project, check your learning. And in that project, I have a set of due tasks inside that project. Okay, so that's my project, and that's what it looks like on the markbook. The second option is the quiz. So if I wanted to see if there's a quiz on my class, that's what the symbol for the quiz would look like. So you can see it's like a mini square with like a little tick on top. So if there was a quiz, I can filter out the quiz. Now here on the markbook, you'll notice that there's a lot of due work, okay? All of those check your learning questions, they're due work. So if I click open one of the due works, okay, this is what it would look like when you open a due work. You have the student's name and all their work, and I can mark that due work from that. Okay, so that's all my different due works. Okay, and the other thing you can use is a task, right? So for a task, so if I were to sort of, in this markbook, select task, and I apply filters, so this is what a task would look like. You have the student's name, and then you have gray boxes right next to the student name. Now here it says incomplete because it hasn't been ticked off yet. Okay, so if I went in and I tick them, it'll turn green. So green ticks means that, the teacher has ticked that task. So if I click on that task again, all right, it'll take me to this page which has the student's name and again the gray boxes next to it. Okay, so that's what the task is. It's just something that the students complete and they are able to tick it off, or the teacher is able to tick them off. So if you wanted to tick off the task, you can just go in and start ticking the tasks. Okay. Now, whenever you're making a task, there is an option that says allow self-assess. So if this option was on, it means that once the student has completed that task, they'll tick it off themselves and it'll have an orange tick. So if you have an orange tick next to a task on your markbook, it means that the student has self-assessed that task. And you can see that. Okay, now here what I've done is I've filtered you can filter it using assessment type. The second thing is your folders. Folders is usually just the classes that you're teaching, right? So here I can add in my 7if class as well, for example. So at the moment I only had one class. If I were to select another class, both of my classes will come in under one markbook. So if I wanted to sort of compare the different classes and see the class average and the progress, I could apply that folder filter and I can see how all my classes are doing compared to each other. Okay, so that's if you wanted the folder filter. Okay, so you can select or unselect the classes. Now the next one is due and term. Alright, so if you had tasks you only wanted to see which tasks are due in term 2, I could have selected that. Now unit, you can also filter out your markbook based on which unit you are doing. So if I just wanted to see the Earth and Space Science unit, I can apply that filter and it'll only show me the work for that Earth and Space Science unit. so I can use that one. Now activity status, okay, you can choose unpublished, upcoming, open, overdue, or closed, right? So if I were to select the closed tasks, you can see that there's nothing closed at the moment, right? And if I apply that open filter, okay, these are all the work that are open currently. You can also have the weighting option. If you had added weights to your work, you can select which one's unweighted or weighted, okay? And also the last one is your work type. So these are all the different work types you can filter it by, right? So assessment task, assignment, homework, classwork. Now all of that depends on how you made your work. So whenever you're sort of making like a due work, right? So for example, if I created a due work, it has an option for work type. So depending on if you have selected the work types properly when you were making your due work, you'll be able to filter out your markbook based on the work type. And that way you can sort of only see which ones that you wanted to see.